what's up? It's time for more Blue Box. This is episode 12. I'm excited to jump into this one, and honestly, like, look, I don't want to act like I'm not putting my full attention on Blue Box, because I am. But there's like a part of me that's thinking that after I finish watching this episode of Blue Box, I'm going to be recording my episode 12 reaction to Dan Da Dan, and that is the final episode of that season. I love both Blue Box and Dan Da Dan, and Blue Box has a whole nother 12 episodes or whatever after this, so I'm not mourning the loss of Blue Box, but I'm thinking about Dan Da Dan right now because I'm going to be mourning the loss of that. So yeah, it's a crazy time within my mind. So I was just procrastinating for a while. I think part of the reason I was procrastinating was because after I record this, I record the final episode of the Dan Da Dan, and maybe I'm not ready to let go yet. But let's focus on Blue Box right now. This is episode 12. I'm really excited to jump into it. Last episode we had like Taiki is basically still trying to keep his distance a little bit from Chinatsu, just because it feels like she's trying to keep her distance from him. And in the meantime, Hina shot her shot and asked him out on a date, and then he mistook it as like a group date, but then the group, aka Kyo, said, I'm not coming, so just you two go on a date. And now the two are on a date. So we're gonna see the date. Let's see what happens. Make sure to support the video if you can, liking, commenting, and subscribing, and go to my Patreon account for full-length early access and exclusive videos. You can also go to my Jent Watches One Piece channel for exactly that, me watching One Piece. But let's jump into this episode 12 of Blue Box. Oh. Why do you have to point that out to her? Although, to be fair, Hina and Taiki do just hang out a lot, you know? I mean, if he was going to the festival with his friends, he'd be going with Hina. Hina's one of his best friends. Nope, too late. The crowd swallowed her up. And so you couldn't prepare yourself. Aww. I'm glad we saw like her perspective of that message, because that seems like a brave message. It all looks great, girl. If you get rejected, it's not because you're not a catch. Yeah. Of course there is. Nice. Game prepared. It's fine. It's fine. This is a surprisingly not very intimate thing to do to someone, I think. That's a very normal thing. She can't take compliments. Aww. She's like, I wasn't ready for it that time. Aw, she's beaming. That's adorable. Compliment people more in real life. Do it. Trust me, it's worth it. Whenever you think something good about someone, tell them. It's really good. Within reason, please. Don't say nice tits to a random lady on the street. Aww. You just threw the paint at Taiki. Aww. Aww, he's good with kids. This is cute. You're like a couple of parents. She's gonna be riding that high for weeks. Oh, if it's already a group thing. Yeah, like since you played it off as, oh, it's supposed to be a group thing. That's the disadvantage of you like playing it off as if it's not like a date. So are you, bro? Oh. Oh. I think I know this character. Yeah, but I know her from the manga. I love her hair. It's like purple? I didn't know she had purple hair. Yeah, Harry's girlfriend. I thought she had black hair. I mean, maybe it is black and it's just a lighting. Harry probably beams about you. Oh. Oh. Talked specifically about Chinatsu. Probably said he's got a crush on Chinatsu. It's very funny. Kenga is a cute name. Yeah. That's good. She seems good for Hayu. Damn. Yeah, Sunday best is not a common expression. I wonder what the expression was in Japanese. Damn, she straight up had this conversation. Oh. Oh. That's the first time I think we've heard something like that from her. Aww. These stories are always so cute to me. This woman's very cute as well. Aww. She giving her something? Oh, this is so cute. So adorable. I'm crying too. Oh, he's not crying. I thought he was crying. Wow, he's actually making fun of her. That's not a common thing. Now she's pissed. Damn, you need to get back to Hina, bro. You're leaving her alone at this time. They're so cute, man. Yeah, that's so sad how long Hina is maybe waiting. Especially since the fireworks are in full swing now. And she said no to those guys by the looks of it. Oh, she took it well. Damn, man. Aww. Classic. That's the Taiki you know and love. Oh, come on, girl. Oh, made your fucking shot. You gotta train hard. That's nice. Kyo was annoyed by that, but he's doing it. Yeah, don't break your concentration. Aww. What a cute moment. You should tell her. Tell her what he said. What? Taiki, man. Oh shit. He's not awake to answer. Huh. No. And he didn't think he was lying. I mean, he wasn't lying. Yeah, this line that you drew between you two isn't as easy as it felt like, huh? He probably dreamt a lot of that conversation. Maybe not, he had a great nap, he said. Oh, God. Damn it. Damn, man. It's a very, very sad part of the story. Now, this is something that I do remember from the manga. And I mean, if you've seen these reactions up until now, you'll know. I've read the manga in Blue Box. I loved the manga in Blue Box. I still love it. It's still going on. But, you know, I don't remember a lot of these early parts of the series very well, you know? And that's why, like, these reactions, you know, I'm not... Often when I'm like trying to guess what's going to happen and stuff, I'm not using my previous information. I genuinely don't remember, you know? So like I know where they're at right now in the manga. I don't remember like what happens back here. So something I do remember though is I remember this situation, and I remember it because when it happened, when this stuff was happening on Reddit, well, when this stuff was happening in the manga, I posted on Reddit because someone had commented about this being like, that like, someone saying that like, well, no, Taiki did lie, you know, like it's not a misunderstanding, it's Taiki lied to her and he should have told her or whatever. And I remember commenting and going, he didn't lie. Like, Taiki didn't lie in this situation. Taiki genuinely didn't know at all, right? He's in a situation where he got asked out by Hina. He didn't realize it was asking him out. Now, is that dense? Maybe. I think I talked about in the last video that, like, I feel like if I was in the situation, I probably also would have missed it. And I gave all my reasons why. So if you want to know why, go to the previous video, go to the discussion section, I talked about it. But Taiki didn't know. He was in the situation. He was told, you know, we're going to go out. And then he was like, oh, who else is coming? And she's like, oops, I forgot to invite people, but can you invite Kyo? And then he invited Kyo. Kyo said, yep, I'm in, let's do it. They agreed to go as the three of them. And then on the day, Kyo went, I'm not coming anymore. And Hina went, well, I'll still go. And so, like, at that point, if one of the two people that are supposed to be going says, I still want to go, then the other person doesn't necessarily have to say, yeah, I'm good with it. But, like, they definitely feel more obligated to, you know? It's a kind of difficult situation because, like, it does change the dynamic when there's two people than when there's three. And I mean, that kind of, like, even with really, really close friends, sometimes that's, you know, a different dynamic. Like, three people, I know the expression is like two's company, three's a crowd or whatever. But truly, like, three is a very comfortable number generally with people. I mean, it obviously depends on the people, and sometimes you need more and sometimes you need fewer. But I do feel like three people is a pretty solid number for, you can have two people talking and, like, and you can sort of keep the energy going, but everyone gets to participate a decent amount in what's going on. Like, I do things with, you know, very big different groups of people, right? And so I'll get together for D&D with my friends. On most Sundays, we play D&D on the YouTube channel Dice Revolution, right? And that's like fucking 8 or 9 of us. Like, that's a lot of people, right? So it's really fun to go and do that sort of stuff. But obviously, that's like, there's a lot of people there. It's a very different dynamic. It's a fun, like, group dynamic. And there's a lot of shit going on. But at the same time, like, it's not, everyone doesn't have, like, an equal amount of participation in that. And someone could be doing nothing the entire time. And, like, there's just, you know, it's a very different dynamic. But I also do something where every week I get together with my with a couple of my friends, and we play Ace Attorney together, the video game Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. We're going through the whole series together, right? And me and my friend Liv have played the games, and then my friend Monty has not played any of the games, right? And so we all three of us get together, and me and Liv will do the voices while my friend Monty plays the game. And that's just three of us, right? Three of us getting together constantly, and it's like the perfect number. It's really, really good for like a group hangout. It's always, you know, a lot of fun. It's always, you know, a good dynamic. It always feels like the perfect number of people for an activity like that. So all this to say, when plans change from, hey, there's three of us hanging out, and then like, oh, one of us dropped out, it's a pretty substantial change. But if Hina steps up and says like, I'm still down to go, the other person has a pretty big responsibility there to, like, I mean, they're basically calling off the event if they say no. And they're also, like, not, and this is an unfair characterization, but they're implying, accidentally or on purpose, like, I'd rather not spend the time alone with you, which is a very sad thing to imply to someone. It doesn't necessarily mean that's the case, and if someone ever does that to you, where they say, like, if it becomes the two of you, and then they go, like, oh, I might just skip today or whatever, please don't take offense to it, because there are any number of reasons that they could be doing that. And I think the main reason is just, like, it's, no matter who you are, even if you two are really close friends, or even if they like you or whatever, it might take a different energy level that they weren't prepared for, like emotionally, and their anxiety levels aren't prepared for. But yeah, so anyway, all of this to say, Taiki didn't know. That's all I was getting at. Taiki had no idea that that it was going to just be the two of them until the last second. He also doesn't have a responsibility to tell Chinatsu that. And like, Chinatsu's upset right now just because, I mean, she's upset, I think, deep down because, like, maybe she feels stupid that, like, she jumped to the conclusion of, like, well, Taiki likes me and we have a chemistry going, and that's why I told him to keep his distance, essentially, or told him that I would keep my distance, essentially. But if he's dating Hina, then I made that assumption for no reason, and now I look stupid. That's one element that I read off of her. Element two is, I felt I had a chemistry with Taiki, but now I think I misread that entire situation, and he isn't interested in me, and that's embarrassing. Element two. Element three, classic jealousy, right? You know, you and like, it doesn't necessarily need to be like, you know, she definitely likes him, so she's jealous, but rather, she doesn't really know, I think, how she feels about him, but it still sucks to see him with someone. Like, that's just something that sucks, you know? Jealousy is a real thing that, I know you know it's a real thing, but it's a real thing that will happen out of nowhere, and it's not necessarily, you're not a bad person for feeling jealousy. The bad thing to do is to act on it in a negative way which influences others, right? If you are jealous to take out that anger on someone else, or to try to sabotage them, or to be pouty around them, or to distance yourself from them when they don't really know what they did wrong, or to try to shut them out or give them the cold shoulder, you know, like, any of that stuff is like using the jealousy in a negative way. But we feel jealousy quite a lot, and it's more about, like, it's okay to feel it, go through it, come to terms with it. That's the thing that's happening in here. It fucking sucks, but it's no one else's problem. It's a you problem, right? So, like, if you feel jealous when you are in a relationship, I talk about this so much on this channel, but fuck it, I want to keep talking about it. If you feel jealous when you're in a relationship and your partner is like, has friends, you know, whether they be of the same gender or the opposite gender, or like, you know, I don't know, you know, your partner could be into anything, right? But you know, it doesn't matter who the other friend is. If they're supposed to be a friend, you might feel jealous that they're hanging out with their friends, and you might feel jealous that there's another person spending time with your partner. That's very okay to feel. That's all in here. It's extremely natural. Don't demonize yourself for feeling that way. However, don't demonize your partner for spending time with people, because they have a fucking life and they're allowed to do that. And your relationship is not your only relationship. You know, your partner is not the only support that you have and need in your life. And you shouldn't have to cut out your friends for a relationship unless there's a very good reason, like your friend is like really toxic or something. Like you find out because you have a relationship that your friend is toxic about something. That would be a reason to maybe cut someone out. But it shouldn't be just the fact that they exist and you have good chemistry with them and you like that, you know, you spend a lot of time with them or whatever. That shouldn't be the reason. So yeah, anyway, all of those reasons is like Chinatsu feels that jealousy. She maybe feels stupid. She maybe feels also like she misread their situation. There's a lot of feelings going into it, but what she funnels that all into is she doesn't like being lied to. And I think what that is, and this is something you can't disprove, but this is my analysis of her character, right? My analysis of her character is she feels all the things I mentioned before, but she feels this like I got lied to thing. And this is the only thing that she can pinpoint that Taiki did wrong, right? All of the other stuff, I think she's smart enough. She's a smart woman. She knows the other stuff is not Taiki's fault, right? But there's one sliver of it that is Taiki's fault, or so she thinks. Turns out it's not actually Taiki's fault. He didn't lie. But she thinks it is. And because of that, she funnels all of that emotion into that one tiny thing. And that happens with people a lot, right? Where they, like, there's one small thing that you do wrong or that you know, that you did that annoys someone, and they suddenly blow up at you about it, or they're really upset about it, or it sticks on their mind for a long time. And you're like, what? It's such a tiny thing. Why do they care about that? That's why. Because there's so much else going on in their head. There's so much other shit that has been built up. And it probably, a lot of it relates to you in some way. But not all of it is your fault. Not all of it is something that you can control, that you've done anything wrong. And they know that. And they can't do anything about that. So they've got all this emotion. As soon as they find a hole that, oh, that part's your fault, they pull it open and all of it comes flooding out. So, and I mean, Chinatsu's not an incredibly emotional person. I mean, we see this through this situation. So she's not going to take it out on him. She actually just has a very, like, this is the most emotional I feel like we've seen her. And this is just her sitting in front of Taiki's napping corpse and saying to him, like, if you're dating Hina, you should tell me, and I don't like being lied to. That's her way of venting her frustrations, is talking to him calmly. That's the kind of person she is. She doesn't vent her frustrations by screaming at someone. So, yeah, I think it's one of those situations where this is like a rom-com or a romance misunderstanding, like a classic type of romance misunderstanding. This sort of thing happens a lot. But I love the way that I can read these characters through it. And this is, I've just always loved about Blue Box. I feel like Chinatsu, I understand this character so deeply. Like, at least I have my own interpretation of the character, which I feel so strongly about. Whether or not that lines up with the author's interpretation of the character or other fans' interpretation of the character, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like, you could come in and go like, well, no, that's not how Chinatsu feels. Chinatsu actually feels this way, and it's proven by this scene and this scene and this scene. Doesn't matter. Doesn't mean you're right. Doesn't mean you're wrong. Doesn't mean you're right. because it's that like character work like this is so much about how you see the character and what you put into the character. It's classic like death of the author stuff, where like once the author puts it out into the world, it is up for interpretation by the greater public, and the greater public's interpretation is like, I'm not going to say no less valid than the author's, but it is extremely valid and has a strong weighting on the perception of the character. So when I'm watching this series, I look at Chinatsu and I just think this character feels so fully formed in my head. I just completely get her. And maybe I relate to a lot of stuff in her. Maybe I see a lot of stuff in her that just, for me, is like an ideal partner would have these traits. And that's why, like, you know, I've created this this sort of fiction in my head of like what I would want in a partner, and I see those sorts of traits in someone like Chinatsu, but I also see traits of myself in Chinatsu, and I see these other traits which aren't necessarily in either of those camps, but really like tie those two lines together very nicely. But you know, if I'm gonna keep gushing, because I mean, if I'm deep in this discussion, I'm just gonna stay deep in this discussion. I talked about, I think in episode 1 or 2 of this show, how one of my favorite things about Chinatsu is she is not an expressive character. And I really, really love that about her, right? And the way this series does her expressions, I am in love with. So in this episode, we have a great example of that. This is right after the line saying, "Why do you look so sad?" Okay, and what you have here is a sad expression, sure, but is it so sad? She said, "Why do you look so sad?" And then we have a picture of Chinatsu looking mildly upset. But the point is, for Chinatsu, she might as well be bawling her eyes out. Like the subtlety in the expressions in this show for this character is really, really good to me. Like this expression, like you know, when, especially when they point it out, it's like, yeah, it's obvious that she's sad, but we have seen her for 12 episodes. We know what she normally looks like, and we were told that context. I think if you showed this screenshot to just a person who didn't know anything about the show, all they could see is this screenshot, and you just like got them to define the expression, I think they would just go like, oh, maybe she's looking at someone she loves, or she's in awe. Like it's kind of hard to read. But the point is, she doesn't do that very often, and we as an audience can read that out of her. And this is the most important thing, her friend Nagisa, I'm pretty sure it's Nagisa who said, "Why do you look so sad?" I imagine it was. Nagisa said, "Why do you look so sad?" because she knows Chinatsu better than 99% of the people in this world. Like, the only people who would know her more, maybe no one. Maybe no one. Like, maybe her mother. I mean, I don't know what her relationship is with her mother, honestly. Maybe her mother, but like I don't know other than that. So like the fact that Nagisa knows her very intimately, she can see on her face like, oh my god, she's devastated. And I just love it. I love the way they draw it, because it's a really difficult thing, I feel like, as someone who's not a visual artist. I feel like it would be really difficult to draw an expression that is just subtly really upset. I'm just so blown away by it. What does that say? Oh yeah, the gift from the kid. Yeah, the little pin in her hair. The little like magical girl pin or whatever. Very cute. It's just an adorable little touch right there. And that whole scene, I mean, that's the sort of scene that will get me very often, I think. The idea of like a lost child. We're gonna get the lost child back, and then when you see like the reuniting of like the parent going like, oh my god, thank you so much, and like that like relief situation, that gets me emotional a lot of the time. Especially when it's like mother-daughter, like that sort of thing, or like father-daughter. Like often when it's like like a young girl is lost and panicking and freaked out, I'm like, oh my god, that I feel so bad for that kid, because like that's probably the most heartbreaking, you know, intense emotion you could feel. And I mean, you might be wondering, like, well, why wouldn't you feel that with a young boy? I will feel that with a young boy. I might, like, and I would feel that strongly with a young boy because I was a young boy once and I felt that. The reason I say that like, the reason I specified that, like, I think it would hit me hard with, like, a daughter is because, and I've talked about this before, I get attached to female characters a lot, and my theory on why that is because, you know, because of growing up, being taught to care a lot about my mother and sister, which, like, my dad, you know, ingrained in me quite a lot to, like, protect them and care about them a lot. And then my mother and sister ingrained it in me just by being very supportive of me and loving of me and raising me. So I think because of that, over time, I just, like, it's just women in my head. I just get very protective. So a scene like that gets me emotional so much. Where like this note that says gift from kid, I can't read the word kid properly. I'm just assuming that's what it says, and I know that it's poorly written because I couldn't see what I was writing because I had tears in my eyes. But yeah, we saw Karen in this episode for the first time, I believe. And yeah, it's the first time, I think, in this series so far that I've been like, oh, it's that character. And then I've gone, oh, wait, I know that character from the manga. That's why I'm saying, oh, it's that character. Like, it's the first time that I've slipped up with my knowledge of the manga intersecting with my knowledge of the show. Generally, I keep those two quite separate. But not in this case. This case, it kind of blended together. But it looks like she has purple hair. And I really like it. It looks great. But I've always imagined her with black hair. So that's really cool. And then, oh yeah, the bit where Taiki called Hina cute and then she's just beaming for the rest of the day is so sweet. It's very sad to see a scene like that where we know, like, that the romance show is based around Chinatsu and Taiki. But it's also, I don't know, little victories for Hina, you know? Being called cute by a boy you like, it's gotta feel great. It's gotta feel great, you know? Just adorable. So yeah, I loved that we saw that. But yeah, anyway, that's Blue Box, episode 12. Thank you for joining me. Funnily enough, remember how at the start of this video, I said, like, I was thinking about Dan and I was mourning the loss of that, or the fact that I'm going to lose that after this video. I'm going to go record Dan and whatever. Problem is, I actually was so focused on this episode and got so caught up in it and discussed it for long enough that I don't think I have time to record Dan tonight. I'm probably going to record it tomorrow morning. So, like, yay. If you can't tell me that I wasn't fully focused on Blue Box, because I put my all into this, I feel like, and I discussed it quite a lot. But yeah, anyway, that was Blue Box episode 12. Thank you for joining me. Make sure to support this video if you can, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Go to my Patreon account for full-length early access and exclusive videos. I will see you next time. Goodbye.